we will get started. How everybody doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Great, wonderful. I love that energy. Keep it. Keep it. Inspired. Inspired. In spite of. You want to talk about this song? In a minute? Okay, well, let's get it started. Let's get it started. What has become clear since Sunday, or what has become clear since this week, or since our last encounter? What has become clear? Okay, please. Oh. Thank you, Milton.
Oh, I mean, what has become clear to me is, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but like what God can really do in your life when you start really digging in them, digging in them and trying to, do things that God would have you to do. I mean, for a long time, I was like really reluctant, but I did some stuff anyway. And, now later in my life, I'm circling back around and really seeing how, God literally uses everything. I was telling you outside about my experience with Clemson this weekend. It was so enlightening to me. My history at Clemson is full of shame. I have a bad legacy there. I was there for 3 semesters, got kicked out, stayed in a lot of trouble. But then I went back up there, and Coach Sweeney's known what I've done in my life since then, and he's really proud of me. And he was giving a speech, and he was calling out the names of players that really impacted Clemson's legacy and where they've gotten so far. And he said names like, Taj Boyd, Grady Jarrett, Nuke, Sammy Watkins. He called my name too. And it's like, it's like all of them, they were great because they went to the NFL, but I failed at Clemson. But, a lot of greatness came from me because of my ability to be accountable for myself and rebuild my life after that. And then it just showed me, it's like, God got you, and it takes some time to see how He can really use everything in your life, because that was a lot of shame. Even now, like 6 months out after my divorce, I'm even seeing how God is using a lot of pain that I went through with that to elevate my life now, and it's it's really amazing. And then even the other thing I was telling you about, like sometimes like a lot of shame and guilt and stuff can perpetuate when you keep talking to people that remind you about that shame and guilt. Whereas, why not just spend time with people that are receiving? Come on. And that's all. That's what's become clear.
That's what's up. Well, we proud of you too, KP. Yeah, we're proud of you, man. Your growth and your consistency shows. So don't discount yourself. Don't discount yourself. Let's take a poll in here. Who here have discounted themselves for something in the past? In the past. We all have. And what ends up happening then, this part, all this playing to the lesson, what ends up happening is we can be fully present in all of our actions, our behaviors, and we do being stem from our past. And so we keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And so what you start to do is accept your present, make amends with your past, and now you're looking towards your future. And it's starting to show, and you start to see the fruit of it. So we're proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Amen. Amen. Sean, and then Mr. Henry.
So to piggyback off Mr. KP, I was having the same conversation with Mr. Rail behind me about your emotions, your physical, your spiritual, that it comes under attack. And so when you recognize where, I guess the weakness is within that, you have to focus on that. So the restoration of the weakness, because then we become off balance. And so constantly, so when people say, you got to pick up your shield, because daily, we're under attack. And so some parts, so whether now having a conversation with my son this morning, sometimes we are under attack. We don't know which area, so it could be mental, it could be physical, or so forth and so on. And so we have to be mindful of that and everything. And so it's like with you focused in, I guess, where your weakness was, and then you made it stronger.
Y'all Y'all in the lesson, keep talking. Keep talking. Mr. Henry
Yes, sir.
and Alan.
What has become clear to me is that this church is a church of great foundation.
Yes. Yes.
Anytime that the pastor is away, his assistants fills in remarkably. And we want to commend you on the beautiful job you did last week. You were great.
Mr. Alan.
It's so amazing that the classes we're dealing with in UBI, dealing with the conscious and the unconscious, that it was a statement you made when I refused to take ownership of where I am and let the truth process me. I carry those bricks from the past and my pain, and I end up building the same house, the same future over and over again. That was.
We're going to talk about that tonight too. We keep going.
That was amazing to me because I have done that many times. So it's now, you guys who are missing out on UBI, I mean, we really dig down into it and we have assignments. We read these things and it talks about things. And I didn't, ain't nothing dealing with my past is making me act this way, but actually it is. Those things that I was taught in the beginning that really directed how I am at a very young age. So it is so important that you look back at your past. Why do I do this? What caused me to do this? What's triggered me? And it's amazing.
Amen. Amen. Anybody else? What has become clear? Okay, so we're talking tonight, and so we're going to get right into it. We'll get right into it. Y'all done talked a lot of the lesson, and I appreciate that we able to, one of the main things about this lesson is our ability to take full personal responsibility for it and empower ourselves, not even just empower ourselves, but use the power that we have of choice to change the trajectory when we're going forward in life. So our scripture was John 8:31-37. A very familiar text. Most of the time we just know the part of the text that talks about who the Son makes free is free indeed. But I wanted to look at it a little bit in context. So Jesus was saying to those Jews who had believed him, if you continue in my word, then you are truly disciples of mine. If you continue in my word, and we're going to go a little bit deeper in this tonight. Continue my word, then you are truly disciples of mine. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. That next verse, they answered him, we are Abraham's descendants, and have never yet enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free? So one of the main things about this text, and we'll go through the rest of it, is that word delusion that we talked about a lot Sunday. And like I said, a lot of times when we talk about that word delusion, we think of psychotic episodes. We think, oh, well, no, I'm not. There's no way I can be delusional. And the definition of delusion, we said a persistent false belief regarding the self of persons or objects outside the self that is maintained despite indisputable evidence to the contrary. A fixed false belief that is resistant to reason or confrontation. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You don't know, you wasn't there. It's not my fault, it's theirs. Blame and all those other things that we do. Confrontation with actual fact. The denial keeps you in a flow based off of your trauma no matter what you try to do externally. Because the system that's being followed is internal. And the results in your life will reflect likewise. And every system is perfect for the results it produces. Remember that every system is perfect. Like, maybe I got a bad system. Nope. Every system you have, or every system is perfect for what it's producing. So you got to change a different system and have a different process for what you're doing. Why is delusion dangerous? And denial leads to delusion. We talked about Sunday. Denial, not what KP, not what Alan said, not what Sean said, but the inability to face our truth, the inability to take responsibility leads to delusion. Why is that dangerous? We continue to do the same thing over and over.
Damaging because not only to keep doing the same thing, you do it really believing it's going to produce something that it never will.
And it also reproduces.
It It reproduces.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm delusional about something, but I'm walking in that, it says persistent false belief. So I'm walking this lie as truth. And so I'm also teaching this lie as truth.
Yes.
And so the people that's coming after me are watching my life thinking I'm living the life. We all delusional.
We all pray. We all pray.
It's like the definition of insanity is insanity. I think people they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting to get a different result. If you continue to not make a change or see the change that you need to make yourself, nothing will change, and it just keeps, perpetuating or cycling itself.
Alan, you had your hand up.
I don't know if I'm touching on it or not, but I was going to say something that denial is external. So if I'm only dealing with, if denial is external, am I really looking internally to see what's on, find the root cause so I can actually fix it?
You own it. Did y'all hear what Alan said?
I can't say it again. I only know I said it.
Say he was flowing, KP. You can't say it again.
It's
You were flowing. Denial is external. So it keeps you from doing what?
fixing what's on the inside of you.
Fixing what's on the inside. Everything in our outside world is a direct result of who we are on the inside. Everything. Everything. Yes, we may have been victimized in areas. We talked about Sunday. We may have had things happen to us, but our healing and the way we choose to go forward is always within our power. It's always within our reach. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, the truth is the only starting point we really have.
Amen.
It's the only starting point we really have. And the truth may not be what we want to hear. We talked about holding the mirror up to ourselves on Sunday. It may not be what we want to hear. It may not be what we want to see. And it definitely may not lead to what we may have to do to move forward. But the promise is that we actually let that truth go inside, where Alan was alluding to, where we can do that work. If we don't, what ends up happening is it reinforces that trauma that we dying to get rid of. It reinforces that trauma that we're dying to get rid of. It reinforces that trauma that we're trying our best. We're coming to church. We're going to UBI. We're doing all these things. But if we still don't let it have its work in us and still don't let it process it, it reinforces it. It reinforces it. And it leads to more bitterness. It leads to resentment. And one of the worst things it leads to is regret. Here's regret. It leads to regret. And it makes it almost impossible to get to the real you. That's the real trauma. It makes it almost impossible to get to the real you. To get to the you that Christ died so bad for you to be. And we never get to produce who we created for. We never get to produce who we created for. I wrote down that somebody once said that having bitterness and resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for somebody else to die. That's what denial do. It's like drinking poison, because the only person you end up hurting is yourself. It's like drinking poison and waiting for somebody else to die. And that's what bitterness and resentment do. Self-awareness should always lead to self-management and self-responsibility. Self-awareness should always lead to self-management and self-responsibility. It's not enough just to be aware. It's not enough just to be aware. If we go back to the scripture, the very first line. So Jesus was saying to those Jews who had believed in him, they were believers. This wasn't the crowd beforehand, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and those that didn't believe him and thought he was crazy and all of that. These are actual believers. So they had some awareness of who he was.
Yeah.
They believed in him. But it can't stop at awareness. We can have an awareness like, yeah, I know I got this problem. Like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But if it don't lead to self-management and taking personal responsibility and allowing ourselves and letting ourselves the process, then that's where it stays. And we keep reinforcing the same thing over and over. And it leads to delusion. Sunday, they said they had never been this way. They was under Roman rule at this time. I guess they forgot about being enslaved in Egypt and all the other places that they had been enslaved at by the time this was wrote. It leads to delusion of where you are and what keeps us stuck. KP?
When I read that, like what I see about it is, I don't do everything that I used to do, especially like with my lifestyle and stuff. And I thought that I was free back then when I was club hopping and doing this and X, Y, Z, and the third. I thought that was freedom, but that was really bound. I was really bound. And then you talk about like the damaging of delusion and like Nico said, reproducing, I think I'm kind. I really was miserable in that lifestyle, but I was delusional to it, and I kept, if I do this hard, if I do it more, I get some life out of it. And then I'm sitting there, promoting a lifestyle. I overlook it. You see me in the club, and I look like I'm balling out, having a good time, and I go home and I'm really miserable. You don't see that side of it, and that's the denial that I had of myself with the delusion. And it's funny, it's like, we'll think that we're free, we really enslaved to something else.
Say it with much maturity. I saw another hand go up. Ms. Henry?
Is it not that we're not dying to self?
Explain more.
When they said die to self, like, Jesus asked us that we still, just say we still in denial because we're not dying, we're not letting go, we're not dying to self and trusting God to do the work that's supposed to be done.
That's a good way to put it.
If that makes sense, die to self.
That makes a lot of sense. So we say things, what Ms. Henry was saying, we say things like, I need to die to myself. Look at a poll, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. What did that mean? Everybody answered beside Ms. Henry. And she gave. But we'll say it a lot. I need to die to myself and let God do his work. Die to myself and let God do his work. Alan?
Well, basically, because we have to really fight ourselves, because ourself is our biggest enemy. I mean, it's the biggest adversary against us because we're fighting our past, our things that were introduced to us first. And so we have to actually try to kill that person first.
Absolutely. We are fighting every personality we created from every traumatic event that happened in our life. Up until we start learning who God is. Every time, I know Pastor talked about this before, he talked about it again. Every time we say, oh, that ain't never going to happen again. We created a new personality to make sure that don't never happen again. And then we say, well, they didn't get me with the okey doke over here again. We created a whole new personality where we got harder, we became more standoffish, we got colder, or we got more friendly, or however way we adapted for the sake, because two things that we need and we can't get away from. We need, we talked about 7 human needs before, but you can narrow them down to 2. We need authenticity and attachment. Can't get away from it. In some form or fashion, we need authenticity in who we are, who we call to be in God, and being our authentic self, and we need attachment. Up until you're able to take care of yourself, most of the time our life is built around us sacrificing our authenticity for attachment. If you're 6 years old, you don't know to be authentic to yourself. You're going to do what you need to do to make sure you stay attached and able to be taken care of in the house. And you taught to do that through childhood. And what happens is it carries over into your adult life. We're constantly sacrificing our authentic self for the sake of attachment. And not to keep from beating ourselves up or going into deep depressions, that's where denial comes. That's where denial starts coming. We start rationalizing why we're doing it. And we start living inside of delusion. And what delusion, the difference between delusion and illusion is, illusion is what you see. That's dangerous. But delusion is inside of you, which is producing what you see. And if you don't fix that, you can put yourself in a better environment, you can get a better job, you can actually get in a healthy relationship, you can get more money, all those things externally that we think are the reasons why we're going through what we're going through. But the delusion is within the process within ourselves, as Adam was talking about. How we process ourselves, how we look at things. We see dimly through a glass. That's why the only thing we're going to get to, without jumping ahead, the only thing, what Jesus said, the truth, can make us free. Allow God, that last part of it, to deliver and to grow. And we're talking about dying to ourselves. All those personalities, we have to confront. Because guess what? They're going to come up. They're going to come up, and they're going to keep coming up, just to see if you really change. Say the devil left Jesus after he tempted him for 3 days, for a little while. They didn't say he was gone permanently. They didn't say he was gone permanently. The old personality is going to keep coming up and seeing, are you still in denial, or are you going to confront me with truth? The reason we get scared of that is we got to deal with our emotions. Every time we create new personalities, every time we say we're not going to do that, emotions are attached to it. Pain are attached to it. Regret are attached to it. And all this stuff that we don't want to deal with. That's where the trust in God got to come from. That's what makes us as Christians different from any other religion, is our faith. And it ain't faith believing things like, God will give me $1 million, or faith in all those things. It's the faith that when I choose to be free and trust God in the process and becoming myself, He's going to help me. The Holy Spirit is going to help me deal with all those emotions. Help me deal with all that trauma that's coming up. Help me deal with all those things. Because if we try to do what I said, it becomes overwhelming. And we start getting into denial mode. We start rationalizing, well, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. Everybody goes through this. True. But how is it working out in our results? How is it working out in where we are right now in life? If nothing in your life changed right now, would you be cool with that? Would you be? And that's the answer we have to ask ourselves. And all the answers should be no, because our God is unsearchable. So that means we are too. That means, God, I got some growing to do. God, I got some areas I need to fix. Not condemnation, but God convict me and propel me to walk in my truth and who I am. Not beating myself up, not letting guilt, shame, and anxiety beat me up. Because God said there's no condemnation in Him. And God said if I justify who is He that condemns, I am not sheep to be slaughtered. I'm more than a conqueror. And then we got to keep repeating those truths and let them soak in us. And let them do their work into completion.
That's what I kind of meant too. That yourself, the Holy Spirit got to help us. Not only dying to self, but not dying or doing it on your own, but we have to depend on Him to do the work. And we got to do whatever it takes to. Fasting helps a lot with the flesh. The flesh is very, very weak, and it's always fighting against the spirit. So even fasting, praying, staying in prayer, these are things that will help us die to self. Just can't do it to say, okay, I can change, or no. We have to stay in prayer. You got to fast and pray, and you have to depend on the Holy Spirit. That's what it meant really too. When we die to self, we have to depend on Him.
Amen. It's always about taking that inner journey.
Yeah.
But more so than that, I think love is the greatest thing there is. Because in Matthew 22, 36 and 37, it says, love the Lord thy God before the heart, before the mind. And secondly, love your brother as you love yourself. And this is not only talking. If we can get it in our minds to project this love that Jesus is speaking about, and do what He says, and be obedient to His words, I think we will be the best Christians we can be. Amen. Love is the key. Yeah.
We're going to touch on that love thing too. I'm going to try not to jump too ahead of myself, but you said a key point. You said a key point in that. Another hand up over here.
I got one.
Alan.
Is this the same thing as that on the thing?
Yes, it is. I think it printed upside down on one side of it.
No, it looked like the scribbled lines to me. Somebody let me borrow their glasses.
Sorry, pretty. A little small, Alan.
Yeah, some upside.
Okay.
This
So the question is, do you want to be free? Do you want to be free, Kim?
I was going to say when you were talking about delusion and Ms. Henry was talking about the flesh, and I'm just speaking for myself. I found for myself that not just what I couldn't say no to, who I couldn't say no to. When you get to something that you say, oh God, I'm not going to do this again. It's my last time getting high. I'm this and that. I'm never going to do this again. Oh God, you get me out of this one time. That's when it becomes your master. And for me, I had things in my life that we all do. You don't let people see. You ain't going to come in church being your true, authentic, raw self. You your church self, highly favored and blessed. But let them see you out at the house and when somebody made you mad or when you clown You know,
No, it's true.
you can turn it on and off. I mean, I'll tell you what I did one time. I took my car and ran it up on somebody's porch, and
The whole car.
ran it, the whole car, the whole car, and
I'm trying to picture the whole car. You got to be full.
The whole carnival.
I'm screaming and going at them, and the person they calling 911, and I'm going at it left and right. When the police get there, I walk out the door like, gosh, did something happen on your office? One of the policemen knew my husband, and he said, man, let me tell you something. He said, we listened to that tape. Your wife was something else. He said, when she walked out that door and came around and back to her car, he said, there wasn't no sweat on her. She was looking all presentable. Hi, officers, is something you can turn it on and turn it off, because I would have never let anybody see what I had done 20 minutes ago. And we do that. It was because of the situation I put myself in where I couldn't say no to something, and I wanted what I want. Then I had become my master, and I lost my mind. I could have lost my life. I could have lost my freedom. I could have lost my child. I could have lost my marriage, but I wanted what I want. And it's when you can't say, and it don't have to necessarily be a big thing. It could be in a relationship with a person. When you can't get yourself and you can't say no, you can't do it by yourself. God has to help you. He has to help you. It becomes your master, whether it's a Pepsi, whether it's a cigarette, or whether it's somebody that you think you cannot get a hold of. When this right here want what it wants, we all somebody different.
Yeah. That's
You know,
true.
and I'm not proud of that. That's probably the most shaming moment. Well, no, I got some more.
God is good.
Real talk, real talk.
God is good.
I used to have a really
all right.
bad temper.
That's all right.
And it would set off.
That's all right.
And once I got to that point, it wasn't no coming back. You know, and I had to learn. I had to get humble and get some things to happen to
Amen.
understand that
Amen.
that's no kind of way to be running around acting. You can't chase nobody up their house. I mean, I took the person's front door off with my car. With my car.
You got skills.
With my car. And I'm still embarrassed about it.
Well, I want to applaud you for having the freedom.
That's right.
to leave.
Yes.
You get free right. You getting free right now.
Yeah, I needed some help.
Yeah, and you getting free right now. We need to try to fight external stuff with external stuff.
Yeah.
It never works.
No.
God is saying, get yourself sit down, submit, submit. Submit.
Yeah. I would probably
And
still
take
be
that
in
in.
jail if I had killed.
We got to. That's why he said, don't forsake the brother. Don't forsake
right.
that.
That's right.
That's why every time we got something going on, every time we do, we should make our business to get here so something else can get on the inside.
Yes.
Because guess what?
Yes.
All that mess and all that trauma, all that stuff that's on it, that's in there, it's coming back up.
Yes.
And we don't know every trigger. We don't know every trigger that's going to bring it up. So the only thing we can do is start making deposits.
Yes.
And staying, like Miss Henry said, staying in prayer with God. Holy Spirit, lead me into all truth about me. That's his job. So we need to start trying to do it for ourselves. Holy Spirit, lead me into all truth about me. You said that you would lead me in my path of righteousness. Holy Spirit, I need you to, because I don't know every trigger that's in me. Until it happens. And if I don't got anything else in there to counter it, by default, your flesh is going to do what it do. It's going to go in that self-preservation mode. It's going to say survive at all costs, and it's going to protect yourself. That's how our 2 million or however many year brain is made to operate. That's why we continually got to get into our development. That's why you go through the whole book of Proverbs, they're constantly saying, pursue righteousness. Pursue righteousness. Because it makes you take that inner journey and deal with you. Time out for blame, time out for this. It makes you deal with yourself without condemnation, but in order to grow. Wrote down that word, that phrase, makes you free, that Jesus used, comes from one word. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right or not. Eleutheru means to exempt, to liberate, to relieve from bondage. But that last meaning is the main one, to deliver and to grow. A lot of us say we want to grow, but we don't want to change. It's impossible to grow without changing. Not changing the core essence of who you are, but changing the character, your value, changing it into who you're supposed to be, or who God created you to be. Now, growth requires challenge. Challenge requires introspect. Introspect requires process. When we don't accept the internal work that the truth demands for us to do, we easily deflect on others and surrender. I must have been asleep. and surrender. And surrender our power and our freedom and continue in pain. And the pain we know becomes our cage of bondage. Why do we fight growth and change so much? Fear? It don't feel like growth when it's happening.
Don't feel good.
It don't feel good. It don't feel good. Ms. Harris?
But you said, because it don't feel like,
We don't feel like growth. Don't feel like growth when it's happening.
but you should feel some sense of growth, because for me, if things that you used to do and you're not doing it anymore, you know that you're growing.
I guess for me, it's kind of like a perspective. Like I look at now, and I recognize that I was growing, but the process that I had to go through to change my mind and change my behaviors and change my habits. I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, God, I'm gonna do it your way. It didn't happen like that. It happened with these consequences and these pains and these trials and tribulations. And then this one day was like, I can't take this no more. And then it was like, well, are you gonna keep doing this? And that was the growth part. And that don't feel like growth.
It's slow.
That feel
It's slow.
pain.
But sometimes you got a little sense of, you go, because, sometimes, like for instance, as you say, getting angry, sometimes, you might be confronted with someone that make and you can refrain from that, because like years ago, what are you done? So sometimes you can see the growth, because you're not doing
And
things.
I want to point out this word right here. Process. It's going to always be a process.
Yes.
And the Bible tells us no discipline at first.
Right.
No discipline at first feels good. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter if you're in church 7 days a week. No discipline at first
Baby
feels
steps.
good. But as you allow yourself, that's what that trust and that faith, to continue in the process, then you start getting some excitement. You start getting more energy because you start seeing some fruit from it. You start seeing some fruit from it. And that keeps you energized. The thing is, we got to actually get in the fire and trust it. And you can feel, I'm pretty sure the three boys can feel that heat before they got close to it. It was so hot it burned up the guy that threw him in. I'm pretty sure they felt that heat. I'm pretty sure Daniel saw them lion's teeth before he got in there with him. I'm pretty sure he said, you know what, God got me. I was going to cruise in here. No, he felt every bit of it. They felt every bit of it. Christ felt every bit of what he went through. But it gets to a point to where the pain of staying the same. The pain of staying the same. I'd rather go through the pain of growth. At least with the pain of growth, it's another side to it. It's a promise to it. It's another expected end to it. At least this is temporary. But I know what this other pain feel like. And it keeps leading to the same heartbreak, the same failure, the same disappointments, those same cycles that we keep ourselves in. So we have to get to a point, and we all are different. We all got different traumas. To get to a point where one pain got to be greater than the other, and one we got to trust God and say, well, God, I know what that feels like. I'm going to trust you and see what the other side. And that's not easy to do. Don't let somebody make you think that it is. It's not easy to do. That's why it's a faith. That's why we walk by what? Faith. Not by sight, but by yeah. And faith comes by what? Hearing. So you mean, God, I got to go off a word. I got to go off of a word. I seen that. I seen the results. I felt it. I still feel it. But every time I think about it, it makes me sick to my stomach. And you asked me to go off a word. But we said Sunday, trust him to be not only the healer that he is, but the healer you know him to be. We all can look back in our life, no matter what we're in, and we can see, even when we wasn't calling on his name like that, even when we wasn't in church, we can see what God still was God in our life. In different occasions.
It's true.
We're no different than David. David said he can call upon when I had to save the sheep from lions and stuff. We all got those experiences where God has saved us from things that could have easily killed us.
Right.
Should have killed us.
That's right.
There's no way David should have been able to defeat a lion and get it from the sheep. Things that should have killed us, and God was right there. So we have to pull up those experiences. Like every time the Israelites would go somewhere, and they went about, and God said, build a monument. Build a tower, so you have something to remind you.
Yes.
Every time you walk past this situation again, that we won.
That's right.
And if we won those times, we're going to win again.
Amen.
So that's why we got to have that prayer time, that stillness. And that's hard to do when you feel like you're behind, when you feel like you done messed up so much. It's hard to sit there and stay still and say, God, show me the right step to make towards who I am. Show me the right step to make. Heard somebody say one time, an hour with God is better than a day of trying it on your own. And it beats it every time. We can steady ourselves and trust it versus having control over the situation like we think. Ms. Freeman, you had your hand up?
Yeah, when you were talking about why people don't want to change, it's because you're comfortable where you are. You know, if you're comfortable, why change? You see what I'm saying? And that's where, when you were talking earlier, that's the reason why God has to make you uncomfortable. When you become uncomfortable, then you got to figure out, okay, what I need to do to change this situation. Because now I don't feel so good. So then you start looking for other avenues how to change your situation. And then you have to learn that you got to depend on God to help you with that, you know, because you might be making the wrong change again.
It's tricky, don't it? Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's so much comfortable. I think it's familiar.
Yeah.
Y'all are in these notes tonight, and I'm loving it. We'll go ahead and go to the next one. What Alan said earlier, and we're going to talk about what both of you guys just said. When we refuse to take ownership of where we are and let truth process us, we carry bricks from our past and pain, and we end up building the same house and same future over and over. When we don't deal with the lies and wounds that our trauma have inflicted, that's where those true messages come from. We give them the freedom to wreak havoc in our life. We volunteer our freedom and keep ourselves bound. We kill our health. We kill our health and slowly begin to kill ourselves emotionally, mentally, and eventually physically. Our outer world starts to reflect what's going on in the inside. If we go back to the text, I told y'all Sunday the original, I told the pastor, the original name of this message was going to be, you'd rather kill me than be free. You'd rather kill me than be free. Not just talking about Christ, but we'd rather kill ourselves than be free. We go back to that verse. He said, truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who commits sin is a slave of sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The son does remain forever. So if the son makes you free, you be free indeed. But here's the caveat. I know that you are Abraham's descendants, yet you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you. You seek to kill me because you're not letting yourself go through the process of growth. Right. And so what ends up happening is, Ms. Freeman alluded to is it becomes, not necessarily that it's comfortable, we like it, but it's like I say, it's the devil we know. It becomes the devil you know. Like, I'm comfortable. Not necessarily comfortable. I know this pain. It's killing me. It's affecting my health. It's affecting my relationships. It's affecting my family life. It's affecting my growth. And I know it. But I know it. You get what I'm saying? That's the delusion. I know it. I know it. And until I'm willing to face that truth, I got to get myself in this growth process. And I got to deal with some ugly stuff. I don't have to do it alone. I don't have to do it alone. God gives us His Word, His church, individuals. He gives us all these opportunities. We don't have to do it alone. It is not good for us to try to. It's not good because of our own vantage point. We'll never get to the point that we can 100% self-heal ourselves. God created it that way for a reason, and He put a piece of Himself in everybody, I believe, for a reason, so that we have to. To get all of Him, we got to communicate with each other. We got to communicate with each other. And what happens, it becomes the devil we know. And Scripture in the Bible says the only way to defeat it, you got to turn and confront it. Then he'll flee. Meaning, I got to talk truth to him. KP, you said it earlier, when you said you didn't want to go downstairs with the other one because of guilt, shame, and anxiety. You had to start talking to yourself right. And tell the truth, I'm not a failure. I'm not a mess up. Yes, I did. I own what I did. Yes, I did. It was a point in time. Yes, I own what I did, but that don't define who God created me to be.
That's right.
He called me who He was before I did all those things. Amen. Before I did all of those things. What I did don't change who I am. Amen. But I got to acknowledge it. Allow God to heal me in those areas, and then walk forward in who I am. Because what He has for all of us is still available and still there. But we got to get past. We become our own roadblocks and stay in our own way more than anything else. KP?
when you speak on truth, I remember growing up and people used to say, would you rather be hurt by the truth or deceived by a lie? And so, you know, truth does hurt. And so in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, I don't want to know the truth. I'd rather you continue to pacify me, and then it's a lot easier for me. And then until you have to come into your truth. And then these two, KP and I think the young lady was talking about the frame. A lot of times when you're young and you told so many things, it kills the inner you or the frame that's in you. Your body is still growing, so you go from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, 25, and so on. But your inner you hasn't grown. It's not keeping up with your outer you. And so when people say things and you talk about the triggers, it's talking about, you know, we lash out. We only say we lash out and we get mad. So you think it's the adult that's in me that's lashing out, but it's actually the child that's in me that's hurting.
Psychologists call it the inner child.
Right.
And the inner child in different stages of our life that is traumatized.
Right.
And we acting out the inner child. So one of the things to do to lash out, talk to them. Talk to yourself right with truth. Talk to yourself the way that you wish you would have gotten talked to, or the wish you would have talked to yourself back then in truth. And but you got to acknowledge it, like you said. Be willing to acknowledge it, and it will hurt. But trust is healing on the other side of it. Trust is healing on the other side of it. How many opportunities, how many promotions, how many relationships, how many things have we forfeited because we refuse to do just that? To talk to those places that we think we're protected, when really we ain't protected, that we just keep reinforcing our own prison and keep us in further bondage. The good news about that is that God promises as we pursue righteousness and chase who we are, that He will redeem the time.
So
He redeems the time.
So a situation like that, I think that a lot of times, you know, when they tell us seek wise counsel, you know, they say well, birds of a feather flock together. A lot of times, the birds of a feather lie down with dogs and get fleas. They're not in a place where they can educate us and tell us. So I know me and Pastor was having a conversation about my relationship with my father. So in my adult self, I will always point the finger. So Pastor says, where it had to be a point where it went wrong. And so for me, it went all the way back to, I think I was in the 6th grade when my father took me to military school. So from 1st grade to 5th grade, you know how they have us writing, who is the hero in your life? My father always been a hero in my life. You know what I'm saying? I want to be just like my father, the way he acted and everything. But he stopped being my hero the day that he took me to Georgia and dropped me off in military school. And so then I began to have problems because I'm thinking to myself, you don't love me, you don't care nothing about me. My mom in the car, my sister in the car, and y'all just dropped me off and just left. So I'm doing 6 years to 12th grade in a place that I don't even know, and I have to fend for myself. I can't go, everybody else can say, well, I'm going to tell my mom and daddy if such happened. I can't tell my mom and daddy. I can't tell my sister or my brothers or my grandparents because I'm in Georgia at a military school because my dad thought, well, you know what, it's good for discipline. And that might be true, or character building or whatever, but when you do things and not even thinking about that child, the effects later on. And so then when I graduated, you know, I got into some stuff because I rebelled, but Pastor had to bring that out of me. So it was then when he stopped being my hero. So I always looked at him like, no matter whether he was doing something good or right, I mean bad, he was always the fault in my eyes. And so, you know.
Blame game. That's so easy for us to do, especially the younger we are, because where else we got to put it? Where else do we have to put it? But it ain't until we start accepting the truth what happened and go back and have a conversation. Why did this happen?
Right.
What was the circumstances behind it? Or matter of fact, what's the truth about me now? and where I'm going. And where I'm going. And then when we start getting those points, we start being able to move forward. That's where that freedom comes. That real freedom comes. That we start loosening that bondage of who we made ourselves to be because of our circumstances.
That's right.
Who we made ourselves to be because of our circumstances, because of whatever situation that we may have had control of or we may not have control of. We created a person for that time and place.
That's right.
And the freedom comes when we can say, no, it's not who I am. That's who I made myself to be. God help me and lead me into being who I'm called to be. Anybody else? Takeaway was true freedom and healing comes from us exercising our power of choice. from perspectives, feelings, attitudes, and behaviors that no longer serve you or the life you want to live. A lot of stuff we do, like I said, it may have served us at one point in life. It may have served us at one point in life. But we allow the truth that God brings to work in you. There is no condemnation in Christ, only conviction. Conviction brings truth. The truth itself is processed and applied, makes us free over and over. I wrote down, don't be afraid to close your eyes and dream. Then wake up and see your reality. Deal with your truth. And let the Holy Spirit show you what has you bound from letting go eternally, then walk in the freedom of the truth. A lot of people say they woke and all this stuff, but they woke but won't get out of bed and do the work. Ain't no point of being woke, ain't no point of having all this knowledge, ain't no point of getting all of this, but we refuse to do the work necessary to really take that responsibility on ourselves, not blaming the system, not blaming the society, not blaming all this, even though all those injustices are real, are very real. But if we as believers, again, he's talking to believers, if he said the truth makes me free, and pursuing who I am and letting him do that work makes me free, I gotta believe that and start tasting it and seeing it and start walking in it. If not, we'll be in denial and blame our whole life. One of our we believe statements is, I believe in the ministry of Jesus Christ and the perfect work of the cross. What does that mean? We say it every Sunday. We say it every Sunday. I believe in the ministry of Jesus Christ and the perfect work of the cross. Who wants to take some stab? Alan and Bishop.
No, I'll let you
Bishop
go.
Alan.
I was going to borrow to you anyway.
I just really believe in who Jesus Christ is, what he done, the work that he done, the work that he finished. I believe in what the ministry, what he done, the service that he gave for me, for my redemption. I believe in what he done, and I try to live accordingly.
Amen. Amen. Alan.
You own it.
Nailed it. Anybody else? I believe in the Deacon Milk.
Ministry, Jesus came, he destroyed the system, changed the system, by the miracles and different things that he did, and then when he got to the cross, he was in Rome. I just try to apply that to myself as far as the system that I was exposed to, like you just said earlier, the devil that I know, by applying his word and his ministry as far as watching him live. He went to the cross. He did die. But, he was a sinful man, but I'm just saying, just applying that kingdom aspect to me, he came and brought a whole different kingdom to the game. And so I'm trying to do that same thing for me as far as, applying it to my life so I can bring a whole different kingdom or his kingdom to me.
Amen. What was the ministry of Christ? Keep going.
Serve.
Okay, that's one part. Okay, he set the captives free.
Was it to serve and be a servant?
Serve, be a servant.
Walk in love.
Walk in love.
Healing.
That's between all of that. Jesus stepped on the scene, and we kind of talked about this in the bridge in Sunday school. He stepped on the scene. He went to the synagogue. He opened up. I think it's in the book of Isaiah. He told them what his ministry was. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. I've been anointed to set the captives free. Y'all know it. Yep. Proclaim the good news. Give recovery of sight to the blind. So they can do what? Be free. I believe in the ministry of Jesus Christ. For me to be free, the one called to be in the perfect work of the cross. Meaning, if I let this process go through me, it's a perfection, and it will work as much as I'm willing to work it.
That's right. You're right. Mm-hmm.
As much as I'm willing to work it, freedom is always available. We say that every week. As much as I'm willing to work it and believe in what he did and that he was who he said he was, that I can be free over and over and over again. And it's dealing with that truth and accepting that truth that makes us free. And the truth, facing that truth, would be simply saying, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. Yes, I jacked this up. Yes, I missed that opportunity. Yes, God, I need you here. Now that you're willing to face and acknowledge that, now we can work. Now we can work. Now we can build. Because guess what? Now that you're willing to acknowledge that, it can't hold you bound anymore. It's only when we deny it and gets us in that delusional state that it can keep us bound. Now you're willing to acknowledge it, not only acknowledge it, work on it, I can help you with the rest. But it's not until we get to that point of acceptance that we can start to move forward and we keep going in those cycles. KP?
I was gonna say, I've always believed that truth hurts, but the more I sit here and listen to you, I realize truth only hurts when you're delusional about it.
Say that again.
Truth only,
That's good.
truth only hurts when you're delusional about it. You
Yeah.
accept it, it ain't painful. It is what it is.
That's good.
You're delusional about it, it's a kick in the face.
That's real.
That's good.
Truth hurts the most when you're delusional about it, I want to accept it. And that's where the deflection comes from. Who want to sit there with a foot in their side?
Nope.
Moving on, kid. I ain't gonna get on here with you about it. Denial leads to delusion. Denial leads to delusion. Kim. Kim. Denial leads to delusion. Don't be afraid to take the time to heal yourself, right? And to look at yourself in the mirror and to move forward. Don't feel like you got so much to do. You got so much you got going on, and we don't have the time to sit still with God and acknowledge those things. And as Alan and everybody else was saying, take those internal journeys and say, God, I do got some trauma that I need to work on. And yes, it may have happened in all these years, but at this point, I'm still deciding off of it, and I'm making these decisions consciously. Consciously. God, help me deal with it. And love you right. I'm talking about love. Love you right so we can love others right. Because we can keep trying to pour and pour, but if we're pouring from a traumatized, empty cup,
Right.
That's right.
how effective? How effective is it? It's a continued thing. Love God first, Mr. Henry was saying. Above all, love God, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Oh, yes.
The best way to love yourself, the best way to truly love yourself is to allow yourself to go through the process of healing and being whole. If you look up the etymology of the word wholeness, at the root of that is the word healing. There is no wholeness without healing, and there is no healing without process. Meaning we got to face the truth, and we got to keep growing. That way, if we're constantly, it's a continuous cycle. As I'm getting built up, what's coming out of me is more from my authentic self, not my representatives, not my hurt self, not my bitter self, not my resentful self, and that's what I'm able to give to others through contact. And that's how we truly start to love our neighbors, and it becomes a cycle, and it starts to build. Questions, comments? We got to go through the process, y'all.
What was the name of the song that you played at the beginning?
KP will give it to you. KP will give it to you at the end of the night.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, love you right so we get free and love our neighbors right. So we can truly make, not just CYM the epicenter of healing, but wherever you go, you're offering healing because you're allowing yourself to be healed. Questions, comments?
So you said the best way to love yourself is go through the process of what?
Go through the process of healing, of healing, through acknowledgement, through accepting the truth about where I am on my current reality, not ignoring it, not denial, and taking responsibility for it. That's not easy. That's not easy. That's not saying that you wasn't wrong over here. That's not saying that, like I said, it's not minimizing injustices. It's not minimizing, and we've been victimized. It's not minimizing any of those things. But at the end of the day, I have the power given to me through Christ Jesus to choose how I'm going to move forward from this. I have that power within me, and that's power that I have outside of anybody else. I have the power to choose how we move forward. I can stay stuck in this moment, or I can move forward. And that's how we heal. Amen. Trying to think of any announcements. We have our master class coming up on 4th Saturday of this month. If you haven't been to one, don't worry about what you missed. We need to catch you up and all that. But please come. Everything that we're talking about, whether it's the bridge, whether it's on Sunday, whether it's a master class, is for us to be able to actually have that accelerated vision, but it's also helping us to be able to build ourselves from the inside out. The beautiful thing about God's church, about CYM, is that we've been given all the tools to actually go through this process. We've been given all the tools purposely. No pastor This team spent a lot of time. The tools actually go through the process of healing, so we don't have to try to figure it out by ourselves. I think March 27th is Freedom Friday with the women's ministry. Make plans to attend that. Definitely make sure you keep coming to the bridge. You come to Sunday school too. I'm always putting it in. 9:15. Everything goes together. The more things you have to go against everything else, and now the better.
It's a Saturday? It falls on a Saturday?
What, the master class?
Uh-huh.
Yes, every fourth Saturday.
Every fourth
What time?
Every fourth Saturday at 10.
10. At 10?
Yep. Every fourth Saturday at 10. We got a master class.
So on the UBI class, I wanted to take it, but because of my work schedule driving trucks, I can't make it on Monday. So is there any other alternative way that I can say get the book study and or some school program type?
They ain't online program. They gonna be an online program. Definitely email Pastor. He take care of it. He take care of it. All hearts and minds clear. Father God, thank you for your word. Thank you for your healing. Thank you for your truth. And thank you that you died so that freedom will be available to us. Now be with us and help us to choose life. Help us to choose who you created us to be. Help us to choose you going forward for the rest of our week, God. Lord, we thank you. Continue to protect us from things seen and unseen. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.